Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Depending on where you're watching us from, it might be afternoon, it might be morning. I'm privileged to be sharing the platform with my brother and friend, Collins Nwosu. Is a very wonderful gentleman and is a brother from another mother. So tonight, I just want to welcome you, my brother, and thank you for joining this session of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. This is the 25th session of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. So it's such an honor and a privilege to have you tonight on this show. We're going to be talking about leadership and significance. Leadership and significance. So I want you to just please introduce yourself, sir. Who is Collins? Collins Nwosu. Who are you, sir?
Okay.
Tell us about yourself.
Okay, thanks for having me. I do not take this for granted. The thing is, depending on who's asking, I wear different hats. So to my children, I am daddy, right? ATM in some cases. Huh? and to some organizations, I'm the strategy consultant. So basically what I've done over the years is provide direction.
Wow, I think you're freezing. You might have to come back in again.
To different organizations and individuals. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you are good now. You're good. Yes.
Yeah, I can see you. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So this experience spans from pharmaceutical industry. I spent time in the finance industry. Did have my stint with oil and gas, and basically in all of this, playing different roles, both at junior levels and at executive levels.
Okay. I think your network is a bit funny. I'll just wait for him to.
Again now.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Technology won't do us in. So as I was saying, I've had the opportunity of working both at junior levels and senior levels. Okay, this is.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I'm all.
No, you're okay. Do you want to come back in again? All right, we'll just wait for Collins to get back in. Tonight we're going to be talking about leadership and significance, and I have with me a brother and a friend, Collins Nwosu. Collins is yes, Collins is based in the city of Abuja, and he'll be speaking on leadership and significance. I just believe that there's a difference between success and significance.
Okay.
Once we can get it right, in that regard, a lot of people are successful, but they're not significant. And a life of significance is a life of impact. Is a life that generates a lot of energy. A life that ensures that you live a life of legacy. So no doubt that tonight is going to be quite informative and interesting. And so Collins is going to be speaking to the topic significance. So yes, before you were cut off by the internet, yes, I just want you to just round up on introducing yourself. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically all this to say one thing. I love to introduce myself as a bridge builder, as one
Okay,
who's able to help you straddle the gap between where you are and where you need to be. So it doesn't matter if you're an individual, it doesn't matter if you're an organization. Uh, Finding those bridges to significant gaps is what I've done over the years, and that's what led me to introduce myself as a strategy expert. And that's what really is finding gaps and building bridges to it, right?
excellent, excellent. I mean, you're someone I admire so much. I mean, I met you on the John Maxwell team platform, and turned out that we become more or less like brothers. Um, Anytime I'm in Abuja, you're always there to see me in the hotel. You know, we drive around, and we've even when you're in Lagos as well. So I salute you, admire you as a brother. You're very authentic. You are someone that has a good track record, and you're showing up all over the place. So I just want you to speak on this area, leadership and significance. I know a lot of successful people that are not really living a life of significance. But I want you to speak on, but before you begin to speak on significance, I want you to speak, how did you get into leadership? Collins, how did you get into leadership?
Um, okay, I think not it goes back to family life. Um, Growing up, I grew up in a business environment. I mean, my father was a trader, a successful one at that. And living in that environment required quite a lot of things. You have different, as it is, the Igbo mentorship system, if you're familiar with it. You go to the village, you bring people from your hometown or people who are interested in the trade you're doing. You take them in, you house them, you feed them,
Hmm.
you teach them your business. So every day they go to the business with you and learn your trade. So they learn who you're selling to, your pricing strategy. They're hands-on where you buy from, hands-on. So it's like you open yourself up to for lack of a better word, yourself, your trade secrets to everyone else. And those people are supposed to technically you're grooming your competition. I couldn't
Hmm.
understand it. Why should I bring people in who are going to compete with me in the future and
Hmm.
teach them everything they need to know? And even at the end of the day, give them seed capital. So you provide, you pay for their store, pay for their first inventory so that they can go and compete with you. It didn't make sense. So I grew up in that kind of environment. And what I guess you begin to learn leadership. You don't call it leadership at that time, you just call it responsibility. You're asked to be the cashier today. Tomorrow, you're the procurement manager. Tomorrow, you're logistics manager. You have to travel. You're old enough to drive and you can drive a truck. Daddy puts you in the car. You drive the truck down to Lagos on the shop to buy the goods. You're old enough to travel. You take the night bus, and show up in morning at Headbridge, buy whatever needs to be bought, load it up, and come back. So it started with responsibility. And I didn't
Okay.
realize or call it leadership at the time. I just thought it was responsibility. Until today, or now, I can look back and say, yeah, that's where my leadership journey began.
Wow, wow, amazing. I mean, like I know a lot of Igbo people, I mean, that have raised up quite a number of successful businessmen using the approach that you just mentioned about giving them responsibility. And
Yeah.
that's why businesses run by Igbos, they really try because um, they have that's not necessarily in terms of intellectual, in terms of schooling, but they have their own, approach that is well tested and translates into, results very rapidly. I mean, you see the average Igbo man, the way he thinks is trying to create wealth, is trying to create opportunities, is trying to empower. And so I celebrate you, sir. So what's the difference between leadership and significance?
There's a thin line.
Okay.
There's a thin line. So just as you mentioned, schooling, the Igbo man may not be schooled, but he's educated. The same thing, you may not, you may have that sense of responsibility, but you may not at the same time be carrying out to the extent that it impacts others. I think
Okay.
that's the difference. So schooling, yes, we throw things at you. Education will bring out the skills that are within you that you're able to utilize. So
All right.
leadership is just, okay, fine, I'm in this position to help people navigate to a given purpose. But where significance comes in is that I want to leave a mark. So not just do the normal, not just do what I am tied to do, but I want to leave a mark. Inside that very thin line of trying to leave a mark is now I want to bring out the best that is within my community, the best that is within the environment I'm working with, the people I'm working with, especially people. That's where significance starts. Looking at a way to sustainably create something that would live beyond you. So significance, at the heart of significance, is sustainability. Leadership very often is just, okay, leaders and followers. So let's put it that way. So a simple way to put it is that when leaders begin to create other leaders, you've gotten to that point of significance. When leaders are just creating good followers, good managers, good business people, whatever that is for you in your place, a good country where people have good light, water, whatever. That's just leadership. Significance is when you're creating other people to take responsibility, just like you are. That's where significance starts.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So it's about creating other leaders, it's not about creating followers, because the average leader is creating, followers, they're so, excited when they see a number of people, following them. But you are saying that significance is when you move from just leading to also having raising followers. Okay.
Completely, yes.
Okay, completely. Okay. All right, completely. So for you, so I just want you also to speak to this. So how can one become a person of significance? Can you become a leader of significance? Not just a successful leader.
Yeah. I think becoming a successful leader is not about you. That is the trick. So there's the me side of it, but it's not about you, basically. So one is, I'll say humility. Let me just take humility and use humility to bring this out. So humility, most people will think is, I'm not thinking, about myself highly. And I think that's really not what humility is about. Humility is more of, I am not thinking so much about myself. So not thinking of yourself as less, but thinking less about yourself. That's humility, right?
Wow.
Now, for you to operate at the level of significance, you're no longer thinking, how will I just make this thing work? It's now, how will others key into what I'm trying to do and continue to make it work? So let's go back to the Igbo mentorship system. I told you I was confused for many years. Why should I bring people into my business and teach? Why should I teach my competition?
Your trade secret.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Why should I train my competition without reservations? There was a time my dad wouldn't come to the office, so these boys are running it. We're running it with them. They know everything. We know everything. They know where to go. They know all the tricks in the book. So when they set up, they're already set up for success. And your customers, depending on the relationship with the customers, your customers will most likely shift to them. Some of your customers will shift to them, but you're doing this without fear, right? That's what significance is. When you go beyond yourself and say, hey, look, first is awareness. I'm aware that I want to create something. Next is that my giving to others, empowering others, does not diminish me. Wow. Instead, it creates an ecosystem that continues to improve us. So I'll give you one example. Let me give you just this example. If you have a candle, right, that is already lit, and you take another candle and you use the one that is lit to light the other one, does the previously lit candle go off?
No. It doesn't.
It doesn't, right? So the room just becomes brighter. That's how significant people think. So significance starts with thinking of myself, humility, thinking of myself less, just thinking about myself less, not thinking less about myself. So it's not dimming my light. It's shining my light so bright that others can take from that light and run with it. So we make the room brighter. Just realize that I've not seen two birds have an accident in the air. Just realize that there's enough space for us.
That's a good one. So birds don't collide in the air.
They don't collide. They just do their thing.
But
so really, so that's what's interesting.
You're saying that it sounds very easy. There's a lot of competition, particularly in leadership. The leader wants to be vocal, he wants to be seen, he wants to be audible, he wants to be visible. And particularly when it gets to that level when there's a lot of accolades, and all of a sudden you're telling him to share his leadership and begin to allow others to also get the recognition. Is it always easy to do that?
No, it's not. It's not always easy, especially when you think of leadership from a perspective of getting ahead. So I'm a leader because I'm ahead. I'm not a leader because I am making things happen. So when you say a leader has influence, and a leader is a person who influences things that happen, there's a mind shift.
Wow.
So someone who is thinking of leadership as I need to be ahead will see it as competition. Someone who is thinking of leadership as I need to make things happen will see it as collaboration. So all of a sudden, you're not looking at, I'll still use the mentorship system. So all of a sudden, I'm not looking at these guys as competition. I'm looking at them as a cluster. I'm not looking at them as, oh, they're going to go and fight. They'll become my alumni. So within our ecosystem, all of a sudden, instead of having one branch, I have another branch in another person. So I can talk to anybody. So now my guy is no longer in Abuja or Jos or Kano or Onisha. I have people that I have raised that are all over the country. What does that mean? That means to me that I can tell anybody, oh, do you want stuff? No, we can sort you out if you're in Kano. We can sort you out if you're in Enugu. So all of a sudden there's room to collaborate. I can refer you to those people and you get service. But guess what? I'm the one referring. But you're within the ecosystem. So it's thinking collaboration and not competition.
Wow. Amazing. I think the network has just thrown him out. Collaboration and not competition. I think that is very instructive. There's a lot of leaders, they don't realize that, there's power in sharing, sharing. You're welcome back. Sorry, the network threw you out. Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. They can throw us out, but they can't keep us down.
Yeah, collaboration, not competition. Yes, speak to that, please.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I worked in a bank, and when I was leaving, the last bank I worked in, when I was leaving, my executive director called me and said, "Hey, where are you off to?" So I told it, this is what I'm going to run a joint venture. I've been appointed as head of commercials for a joint venture between a Swiss company and a Nigerian company. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, he was like, "Oh, I hope you're not leaving us for, I said, "I'm not leaving you. I'm actually going elsewhere to create value. And where I go to, if there's any opportunity for the bank, I will bring you in. The question is, if I say, oh, look, sir, there's this opportunity, will you back me up? Because it will now be an integrity issue. So will you back me up?" And he said, "Hey, Collins, it's exciting. It sounds like you're going to an exciting meeting. Let's work together." And we did.
Wow.
We did. It was amazing. It was at variance with the previous financial institution I'd worked with. When I was leaving, they were looking at me as competition. Like, hey, this guy is going to take our customers. And it was fight. We were fighting. But in the second instance, there was no fight. It was like, okay, you're going somewhere else. What can we do together? So we have to start taking those mind shifts. I mean, that's how alumni are created. Think of London Business School. Think of Lagos Business School. Think of when you think of Harvard, you think of any of the business schools. When their students are leaving, they're happy to say they're the alumni. And the alumni bring a lot to the table. But when they leave and you're looking at them as competition, you're in trouble. So the mindset of significance just is tough to absorb, but it's one that says there's enough, there's a lot out there. You know, for people of faith, for people of my faith, we have this story that is told about the Israelites being in the wilderness, and they cried unto God, and God provided bread from heaven. Now, the interesting thing was this: some families had more members of their family, some had less. But everybody that went out and took from the same source, they all took from the same source. The record has it that none of them had less than they required. They all had enough.
Yeah.
So when you think abundance, you're thinking that, look, this source is not going, river never runs dry. There's enough for us. You take people who will fetch to bath, fetch to bath. You fetch to wash clothes, fetch to wash clothes. Go and empty the ocean. That's what I'll say. Go and empty the ocean. If you think of that you can't empty the ocean, then you know that the resources are abundant. Solomon has died. He didn't go with any wealth. The rich Rockefeller has died. His foundation is still here. The money is the resources are still here. You will create and die. It is still here. It's not going anywhere. So there's the abundance of wealth. But that's also what affects significance. When we think scarcity rather than abundance, when we believe or you've been told, oh, Nigeria is in a recession, we are one of the poorest people in this developed country. You know, you grow up hearing all of these things. You look at BBC and they're showing you photographs of very poor people. But you come out of your house and you're eating 3 square meals, but it doesn't sink in. You're eating it and thinking, I don't have enough. It kills you.
Yeah.
I'll probably end this with one story I read of 2 brothers. One was really, really rich, really, really rich. And the other brother was homeless. A drunk, a tramp, homeless. So they were asked, the interviewer asked the first brother, what happened? Why are you homeless? Why are you in this situation? And he said, hey, my father was a bully. He was a drunk. He abused. And I'm suffering from the effect of that abuse. That's what has stayed with me. And the second brother was asked the same question, the rich guy. And he said, my father was a drunk and a bully. He abused. And because of that, I said, hey, I'm not going to stay in that state. And this is where I am. So the same situation, the same house, the same family, the same everything. One made a choice. And that choice affected his outcomes. So what choices are you making? Those are the things that will lead you to significance, to mediocrity, so to speak.
Wow. Amazing. If you're just joining us, I've been speaking with my friend and my brother, Collins. We're speaking on leadership and significance, Now, I just want you to speak to this. I know quite a number of people, leaders that are building structures. They're building, everything revolves around them. And there are also some leaders that are building people. Which one is the best? Building structures, building, monuments, or building a movement? Which one is more powerful?
It's easy for me to say, oh, building people is more powerful. That's easy for me to say.
Yeah, but it's difficult.
but the powerful things are difficult. Okay, think of John Maxwell. You and I are on the same team, John Maxwell team. And then think of Goke. Somebody walks up to you and says, hey, first degree consulting, can I carry your name as first degree consultant and go do some business? Give me a certificate that says that you accept that everything you've trained me and I'm now your person. So yeah, I'll go through the training. I'll pay for the training. I'll continually be in touch with you so that I'll learn your values. But just tell the whole world that this guy now, when you see Collins, it's as good as seeing first degree consulting.
To operate under he wants to operate under my name and style. Yeah.
Use your name and style, and I'm now, when they see me, they see you, and then you do this for more than 20,000 people across 145 countries. How comfortable would you? Not so comfortable. Say, these people, they defraud others in my name, they will pillage in my name, they will do. That's the thing. So we'll withhold power. But think of it now. John has created a movement by consciously doing this. Yes, are there going to be bad eggs, one or two? But you don't let them overshadow the movement. The truth is, there'll always be people who would want to use things for their own purpose. But when you create the movement, when you create, when you created something that you want to share, and you're sharing it, focus on what is working. And hey, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aggressive in weeding out what is not working, but you focus on what is working. So structures are good, but are those structures towards an end? When the structure has a purpose to build people, then it becomes a very powerful leadership. So John built a structure, and that structure is around building people. So raising people to significance, that's the thing. So when a structure that empowers is a good one, but a structure that doesn't empower is a terrible one. Where you see every check has to be signed by Oga, everything has to be approved by Oga. You can't move far. When decisions could be taken in the field by the field officer is afraid to take the decision and says, what will my boss say? But if the field officer knows that I will take this decision and I will stand by what I have taken, and I know that my boss will respect it. So when you take the decision and you come back, they say, you may not have done it right, you could do it better this way. And that person knows that, okay, if tomorrow I go do the same thing and I get punished for it, at least I was given a chance today. So that begins to build men. That begins to build men. It begins to build men. I mean, we've seen an example I love using in Nigeria is NAFDAC. Before Dora Akunyili, NAFDAC was a nightmare. We were afraid. I mean, you take transactions to NAFDAC and almost nothing will happen. There was a proliferation of fake and substandard drugs, and medicaments in the country. Well, she came, the same people, you didn't hear that NAFDAC did mass recruitment or mass layoffs. The same people, the leader changed. And what happened? People were empowered to do their jobs. She stood by them, they did their jobs. They didn't care that, you had the biggest connection, because this is big money. If I could cut corners in making Panadol and paracetamol, and I make paracetamol with less ingredients, I make a lot of millions, right? She didn't care. She didn't care. These were powerful people, but she gave her people the backing they needed to do their jobs, and they did. And that culture has lived beyond her. Yes, we may say, NAFDAC is not making waves like before, but I tell you that a lot of reforms that she did in her time are still living on to this day. So that's where significance starts. It's tough. Sometimes it will cost you your life. I can tell you that. It will cost you your life. Not necessarily that someone will come after you, but that you will give your whole self to a movement. Let's say you want to pour your whole self into your children. That's your life right there, because a lot of things would be
sacrifice.
Yeah, a lot of things will be sacrificed. It's life, I like to say that we're living life. It's not work life, not church life, not mosque life, not business life. You're living life, and you make the choices of which aspects of life you want enhanced. So you focus on those and you work on them. And when doing that, you're not trying to find work-life balance. You're just living life and making decisions of what is important to you and dealing with them. So it will cost you something. Definitely, you would forego something else. So yeah, that's really how it works.
But awesome. I just want you to speak into this. Is it every leader that wants to be significant?
No, you're making an assumption that maybe we even need to define what leadership is, because it's not everybody that is in a position of authority that being in a position of authority does not make you a leader. It just means that you have been given authority. Or maybe I can say it the other way.
Or you have been given responsibility. Maybe you have been given
responsibility. Doesn't make you a leader. Or we can say that you have at that level, what you have is your leadership level is at the entry level of leadership. You now have
by position or what?
Yeah, leadership by position. So leadership by position, okay. But what we're trying to do is to get to the point of leadership by permission, where people have given you the permission to lead them. Say, oh, look, your name stands for something. What your work stands for something. Okay, let me say this. I had there was a branch I was sent to. Let me even use a more recent one. We did mass recruitment. So we brought in, we wanted people who had, the same, oh, let's bring people with first class, who are this age and that and that and that. So we ran a graduate program, and we were thinking of, we're looking for 10 people. We had 3,000 applications, first class, all of that, people that met their criteria. So
For 10
imagine
people.
looking for 10 people. Yes, we wanted 10, we got 3,000. That fits the bill on paper. So we started screening, we started having interviews, and we came down to 50. Remember, we're looking for 10. So we now had to, we took in the 10. So the best thing is, let's take the 50, sorry, and run a graduate program, 3-week program for them. And within those 3 weeks, win them out. We ended up taking 20 of those people as against 10 and put them in our system. So another winning. Now something happened. One of my colleagues at management colleagues, was assigned these guys to work with us. So 20 people was also 5 exec, right? There were 5 of us, so it just worked perfect. One of my colleagues really wanted to sack everybody on his team. These guys were useless. They were not delivering results. They were not this and that and that. It was crazy. So it was complaints at every management meeting. You meet them in the corridor, and that was complaints. These guys are not up to it. Their degrees are not. In fact, somehow they must have wangled the system. So it was easy to think, okay, we'll get rid of these guys. So I thought, let's do a swap. So send me your guys, I'll send you my guys. I have great guys. And you're in a sensitive position right now. So work with my guys, they're great. Bring me your guys. Guess what? 1 week down the line, he was complaining about the guys I sent to him, who were working with me just fine. Right? So he was complaining. And then I got his guys. And his guys were doing great. And I'm like, okay, so the problem is not the people. The problem is the person running
the leader. Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that we have to do for ourselves, if we are to begin to think significance, or begin to transform. You're talking significance because the assumption now is that you're already speaking to somebody who's at the highest level of leadership. It's not so. We have to transition. We have to move from being the boss, being in that position. You have to. We have to, within ourselves, consciously say, hey, you know what? I'm going to raise people. I'll raise men. The biggest resource I have is human resource, and I will invest in it. Yeah, it's no longer. It has to go beyond top of.
Now, I just
our people are the greatest assets. You
okay.
hear that a lot. Our people are our greatest assets, but you don't pay them well.
Is it just the payment or even the empowerment? Some people are paid.
You don't treat them well.
Yeah. Because you can make someone, a senior exec, and not allow the person to use his initiative, or the person has low self-esteem. So many things. So, but I just want you to speak to this, right? For a lot of us, in our mid-30s, mid-40s, we're pursuing career. We want to move up, the ladder. And all of a sudden you get there and you begin to realize that it's not just about the money. You might be well paid, but you're not fulfilled. Bob Buford says that, all those things happen in the first half of your life. There's this book about halftime, but when you begin to, get into maybe the second half of your life, now realize that, look, it's not just about success. It's about living a life of significance. Can you just speak about that? When you're in the first half, you're chasing, I want to acquire this, I want to travel all over the place, I want to see the world, I want to achieve so much, I want to be recognized, I want laurels, awards. Then you now move to the second half, which is you're now looking at life and saying, wow, I've been there and done that. I just want you to speak to that. Yes.
Okay. Bob Buford's Halftime is a great book. I don't think you need to be 40 to read that. Anyone that can lay your hands on that book, you should read it now. Accelerate, just move fast. So I think the thing is this: is to define success early. What I know for a fact is we will all have situations we need to manage. Situations will come at you whether you have $1 million in the bank or you have 100,000 or you have none at all. Issues would come. It comes to everybody. Now we have to define success for ourselves early and manage that definition of success. So what do you see success as? Do you see success as having $1 million? That's what you're going to run for. And then you begin to manage everything about you would be, how do I get $1 million? When you define success as significance, and significance has meaning, that okay, this is what significance looks like to me. You begin to work towards that. Other things will fall into place. Let me say this. The guys who want to sell alcoholic beverages, their focus is, let me sell as many bottles as possible. And then they now begin to deploy strategy, do the marketing, they do the branding, they do the make it beautiful, access, logistics, all of those things come into play. But in doing so, the money comes in. The person who says, "Oh, I want to be in the medical field," thinks of, okay, fine, I don't want to produce injections or I want to produce face masks, but I want to be in the medical field helping lives. So I want to be the person in the theater. They pursue that, and the money comes in. So pursuing significance, pursuing money is not always the thing. I'll tell you this. At a point in my life, I used to spend less than 30 days a year in my house. Less than 30 days. So I'm all over the place. So on a particular day, I was with my family on holiday, and I got a call. Oh, we need an executive. There's no exec in the area. Please, we have this emergency. Can you help us? I was in London at the time. I stepped into the London office, and from there I called my family and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I have to travel." And I left from. I didn't go back home. I left from the office to the airport. I traveled. I didn't see my family until I got back to Nigeria. Now, when I walked back home, when I got home, because I spent so little time with my family, my son, my last son at the time, didn't recognize me. He ran away from me. Yeah. It was my brother-in-law that held him. So you know how it is when a child is moving away from a stranger. That happened to me. I walked into my room, closed the door, wept, and I began to evaluate. Is this how I want to live? Because for me, I complain about a lot of things. I complain about leadership. I say, hey, we need to have better leaders. We need to have this. We need to have that. But in that moment, I realized that these leaders come from homes. That's the first place where leaders are built. And I was the first president they were going to see. I was the first senator they were going to. I was the first councillor, House of Representatives. I was going to be the first MD these guys were going to encounter, and I was to teach my children what leadership really meant. So I was going to throw into the world people who would potentially impact my community, impact the country. And I wasn't taking it seriously because I was looking outside and not looking inwards. My priorities changed. I'm telling you, it was a tough call. My priorities changed. I had to make drastic changes, very, very drastic changes. I mean, I resigned my position, and my colleagues couldn't imagine that I would leave such for what I was doing, but I did. And I said, hey, I'm going to change where I live. I'm going to change the things that are important to me. Family will come first. So I redefined success at that point. But I don't think you need to let anything dramatic happen before take this decision. I think it's important to start thinking, what do I want my future to look like? And how would that future impact others? Right? And in thinking of this, we begin to take the decisions now, take them early and manage them. And that's what makes greatness. That is what makes people look like they are ahead of time, they are ahead of the curve because they've taken that time to look. See, okay, I'll tell you this. Many people don't think, oh, please if you're listening to me, don't be offended, but it's just what I found. People think for us, and the system thinks for us, and thrusts on us certain belief and thought
Yeah.
system. So you know to go
Expectation.
to
Yeah.
school, you know to get a good grade, you know to do that, get a job, maybe do business or something. But to take time to think, if I do this way for myself, this will happen. And most times when you think in that manner, you will find that what you're thinking of perhaps has not been done before, or has not been done in the way you want to do it, or nobody is doing it and nobody can see it, and people will think you're crazy.
Hmm.
So it's scary to think.
Yeah.
You know, some will even say you don't have the resources or the capital
Yeah.
to do that. So,
Hmm.
but I encourage everyone, think about what you want to participate. Like, think of the impact you want to give. And even if it's you want to make money, yes, think about it and think of the lives the money will help.
Wow.
I'll be more useful having more money than not having money. But if it's helping people, that is the important thing. Yes, true. But if
Well,
it's having money, if it's having money for the sake of having money, or having money because I want to help others, then yeah, my purpose drives my vision and drives
hmm,
whether.
hmm, hmm, hmm. Well, Collins, you have spoken some hard truths tonight. I mean, when I look back, my younger self, I just wanted to work in the bank. I wanted to work, and I had the privilege. By the time I was 28, I already had, a master's in property valuation and law. I was already also doing an MBA, and I just wanted to work in the bank. But when I started working in the bank, I now realized that this is all just, it's all the hype because I wasn't even. I found out that I was not happier than the average person on the street. you know and I must tell you, I must tell you that my health, I was always having headache at night, massive headache. Then I was doing a lot of self-medication, be taking, paracetamol, all manners, just to, but I was under a lot of stress. One of the things what was happening to me was that I was going to work, and before getting to work I'd be so um apprehensive. What is going to happen today? you know, what is going to happen, if I'm not able to meet my target. So I wasn't my normal self. But on the outside, everyone saw me looking very, I just wanted to be a banker. But when I had to, I had to do some self-assessment. I said, look, is this really what I want? Is this what I want, for myself? Or I'm just living because I want a tag of a banker and so on and so forth. And I had to do, what I didn't think was possible. Eventually, I had to just I had to resign, and that was tough, you know. But like you just said, it's not about what the environment, what people, the tag that people put on us. Some people, they are not doing what they want to do, but they're doing what others want them to do, you know. And so living a life of significance, it comes at a price, it's not about the money, but it's about the value that you bring, to the world, a life of legacy, a life of impact, a life of raising other people, generation of leaders,
Yeah.
and I think it's not something that happens just overnight, but it's something that is intentional. When you look at John, I mean, we've been privileged to meet him one on one, during our certification, and it's just like every other gentleman, but it's just because he decided he wanted to become more, and add more value to lives. Now,
Yeah.
as you begin to move closer, how can you build a culture of significance? How can you build it, in an organization as a leader?
Ooh, it's easy to say these things. People may not realize the sacrifice that you had to make leaving the bank because no jobs. These are few. This is one of the highest paying jobs in the
Oh
country.
yeah, oh yeah.
With all the perks and everything. So you'll be stupid. Years ago, someone would have said you're a very stupid guy. Even today, a lot of young people will be wondering what's wrong with you. you had this job. But I think building significance is, you know, I think you have to start with being tired of where you are. Really. I think we need to be frustrated with where we are. If somebody needs to be, who's listening to me today, needs to be frustrated and go home with depression, please go and be depressed. Yeah, because I'm not going to give you any nice answer. If you're not tired of where you are and you're still happy with the shit and the mess you're in, then you're not going to make any changes. Because the purpose is what drives the action. And if there's no purpose, we just have constant movement. Let me put it this way. Right now, there are a lot of young people who are being hired. Let me use the banks, hired by banks, and they're like sales agents and stuff. Maybe they're paid 50,000 and there's a commission somewhere. So they wear nice clothes, good bank, every month take 50,000 and maybe a commission based on whatever you make. So you might make 70,000, 80,000. The guy who's doing bricklaying will earn no less than 2,000 a day. He works for 6 days, 4 weeks, right? So 24 days. So that guy automatically is already going to earn as much as the banker is earning as at today. What's the difference between him and the banker? The environment, right? But I tell you that if that chap, the bricklayer, puts his mind to it, what you find is that he owns land, the banker doesn't own. He builds a house, the banker doesn't build. But he's still looking at the banker and saying, this guy has a nice life, right? He's sending his children to school, paying the fees. The banker is borrowing to do the same. And this guy can't see anybody's lending money because, hey, he's a bricklayer. But he's making impact. So one thing we must deal with is perception of what success is. So if you want to live a life of significance, you have to deal with the perception of success and define success. I would say success is when I'm able to raise my family right and have responsible children, or children who are responsive to the needs of the environment. Now it brings me to something you mentioned, value. It also means to me that I must be value able. I must be able to create value. I must feel the value and recognize the value. Here's what I think of value. Not money. Money is important, but let me tell you what I think of value. So I sell salt. My neighbor sells yam, and I need some yam. I go to my neighbor and say, here is salt. You need salt. And he says, yes, I need. Okay, so let's exchange yam for salt, and we exchange. Of course, salt lasts longer than yam. So I finish my yam, I go back, and the guy says, I still have that bag of salt he gave me. I don't need. But I don't need salt, but I need yam. So now tell me, is salt now valuable to that person? No, it's no longer valuable. That person needs salt. So I tell him that, oh, you know what? There is somebody who is owing me vegetables. You need vegetables. And the person gave me these 2 cowries. So if you take these 2 cowries to them, they will give you vegetables. Give me yam in exchange for vegetables. Now, the value is not in the calories I have given. The value is in what the calories represent, vegetables. And we do that exchange. And I think that's how money came about. Because something had to hold and represent value for us to be able to exchange. At any point in time. Because it's not every time you need salt or pepper or yam or wood, you would need different things at different times. So something had to hold the value. So it's what we make of it. Now, the question is, if you want to build significance, you must value it. What value are you bringing to the table? What is it that the people or the environment require that you can deliver? Because if you cannot start from there, then there's nothing that is. The needle will not shift, because it is in being valuable and creating value and serving people with value that you begin to find significance. Hey, they will pay you because of value. I mean it. I'm not kidding. But it's not tough. But that's the tough thing to do. What value am I bringing to the table?
You know, I just want to jump right in. You know, this is the 25th session of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. You know, showing up here every Sunday, it costs a lot. Time, coordination, you know, ideas, making sure that people get value. Has this made me more significant? Yeah, it has made me more significant. I could have been in my house and just, just enjoyed my children, just watching TV, but I just decided, let me just show up, let me add value, So I just want to say that significance is sacrifice, and it's not just a one-off sacrifice. It costs a great deal. I mean, and that's why people like you are showing up. I mean, I've met you on different platforms, both in Lagos, in Abuja, and you continue to speak the same, language, which is adding value, adding value, adding value. Um, and I just want to salute you because it takes deep stuff, to add value. It's not something that you just say, you can't buy it. You have to earn it, you know. And it's a journey. When you look at John has been, leading us. I joined the team in 2014. This is 2021, 7 years now. He's been adding so much content. You also joined, I'm sure years back, and but you've continued to show up. It's and it's not a popularity contest, because that's why you see some people who show up and just fizzle out and say, look, I'm not getting the money. I won't do anything for free. I wanted to speak to that. Yeah, please.
Yeah, you see, the truth is, okay, what you've been doing here over the weeks, people pay for this series. One way or another, they pay for these things to get it. But you bring people here who ordinarily someone should be paying to access, and then you make them spill their guts, and others get it for free. So you really should be running a program and say, hey, look, this program is what I'm running, and I'm bringing ABCD. Subscribe, and then we're going to run. All of this, Grant Cardone is doing, John Maxwell is doing, Robin,
Tony Robbins.
all the big, Tony is doing it. I mean, we have our guys here doing the same thing. But you've been giving this thing for free, and not just giving it for free, because some people think that free means low quality. No, not necessarily. So you've been giving, and you've been giving your heart out, looking for the best showcase on this program. And I think it's about time you stepped it up a notch, because look, even if it's 10 people who really appreciate it, the thing about significance and impact, there's not everybody that jumps on the bandwagon. There's what I call the J marketing system. The J marketing system stems from one of my mentors that I really love. What he did was find 12 guys, and he poured his life into those 12. Those 12 brought in another that were called the 70. So from the 12 to the 70, and then now had the multitude. The multitude will come to take. They seldom came to give. The multitude could easily disappear.
Yeah.
It could easily disappear. Any small thing would take the multitude away. So the J marketing system, we realize that there's the multitude. Those guys will come. They'll come for the premiums, but it will never really, really be impacted. And a life of significance is a life that recognizes where you need to put in your resources, because resources will not always be so many as to take on everyone. But the one you have, you deploy it in a way that it makes most impact, and that's called leverage. So as a banker, you know that you leverage what you have. So so when you pour into your 12 are the ones who are responsible for the 70. So what you're doing is
foot soldiers,
to do with the 70, and they now go out and do the multitude. So if you do start paying, sorry, anyone who's listening to me and getting upset,
you're letting the cat out of the bag.
let them get upset. But yeah, as I said, I'm not here to make anybody happy. If you need to be upset and depressed, so be it. But that may be the place of turning. That may be the turning point. Because when you think of it and say, look, I must continue to get this value to transform my life. Because it's not everything that you have received that you have utilized. The one that you utilize is what works for you. Like some of the men at some men in my life will say, it's not the anointing oil that makes the difference. Now you will believe the anointing oil. What you believe work. So we significance doesn't also mean a crowd at the first instance. Impact doesn't always mean a crowd at the first instance. And that's one thing we have to recognize, that it may start with one, but being able to pour into one. If I have one person, that one person pours into another, and then that other pours into another. That is now where it multiplies. So
the power of one.
We have to be willing to pour into one. There's power in one. There's power in one. So at every point in time, like right now, I'm just talking to one person. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not talking to all who are listening. Just if that one person listens, takes it, runs with it, and makes impact, it would be great. There's only one Dangote. There's only one De Beers. There's only one John Maxwell. Right? Every country has most countries have just one president. So you don't have too many. So that shows you that one is powerful. And the one I want you to believe in that make anything significant and transformative is you. The one that is listening to me now. You're the one that needs to make the change. You're the one that has the power to transform things and make things happen. And I want you to take it and run with it.
Amazing. Wow. I wish I could have kept you here all day, but I mean, I'm sure your wife would say, I thought you said this program is for 1 hour. We're almost getting to it. But I just like your person. You're very authentic. Collins, just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on showing up and adding value. I remember when you hosted my wife and I, in the hotel in VI Lagos. I mean, you received us, so you treated us like royalty. It was just, I think it was the Saturday evening. You came for an export training program a few years back, and it was amazing. I just want to salute you, and I know that you're going places. So just remember me, in your prayers as well, so that we show up more often together. I believe that even where we sit right now, there's a lot of opportunities that's available to us. But as we begin to live a life of significance, you don't need to struggle for certain things. Because things will begin to look for you. People will begin to mention your name, when people find out that you are just there to add value. Effortlessly, life begins to, work in your favor. It might be, a long journey, because for someone like yourself, when you had to resign your job, and even for me, it costs, particularly if you are married, I mean, it will cost you heavily in terms of resources, finances, in terms of also your self-esteem, But thank God for His faithfulness, and He's helped us thus far, and I believe that there's still a greater achievements going forward. But even as we come to a close, who are your mentors? Because I know that you can't be sounding so wonderful and courageous like this. What's the secret sauce? Apart from your lovely wife and your family that they've been there must be some people that you have sat under. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have John Maxwell as our mentor, right? And it's good to sit under him, the likes of Paul Martinelli and the whole John Maxwell team. That's wonderful. That's one place I drink from. But I'll tell you that my mentors have not always been people that I meet face to face.
Wow.
There are books that I read, like Bob Buford's Halftime is what, as I said, I recommend that to anyone. Go read it. You don't need to wait till you're 40 to read that. But so I found mentors in books. I've also found mentors in the communities that have been built around. Because one thing I realized is that you don't have the monopoly of knowledge. So there are communities that are doing the things that I'm interested in. There are export communities. So they're doing what I'm interested in. So I put myself in that ecosystem. There are coaching communities. So I put myself in that ecosystem because I want to learn and I want to drink from them. I have about 12 different coaches. Some are paid, some are not. Yes, I pay people. I pay people to mentor me. Grant Cardone is one of my mentors. I found one of my biggest mentors, spiritual mentors, has been really Jesus. I read that's some guy who's I talked about the J marketing system. I learned that from him. So
Wow.
these are some of my mentors. A lot of books. I mean, one of the biggest books I read, the Bible. I read quite a lot of leadership books, strategy books, books on export. Put myself in those communities. So if I were to say, hey, where should you be? I'll say, okay, where do you love? What do you love? What would you want to build yourself as an expert in? And you first start finding that community. Find who the top 10 are in that place and follow them and serve them.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it will cost you something. It will cost you something because
Wow.
to follow them and to serve them may cost you paying for their program. It may cost you paying for, but you would have to pay the price to, to really come up to
Wow.
where you need to be. That's
Amazing. Collins, you're very well. If you're just joining us, I've been speaking with my friend and my brother from another mother, Collins Uwosu. Is an amazing gentleman. We've been speaking on leadership and significance. I just want to live a life, of significance. I've been privileged to travel, quite a number of countries all over the world, and I've met people. I just don't want to come to this world and acquire expensive cars and clothes and but I just want to live a life of impact, raise people, inspire people, and that's what we're just trying to do here tonight. I mean, Collins is poured out his heart, very authentic. I just want you to just share in 30 seconds something that you want to leave behind, for someone that might be watching the replay tonight. Just share from the bottom of your heart. Yes.
If you are at the bottom of life right now, you're tired of where you are, frustrated with the results you're getting. Even if you're making money, but you're feeling tired and down, I will tell you that you're in a good place. You're in the best place. You're in a place where you can start. And the reason for this is that you probably have been thinking of yourself. Now you need to begin to see yourself not as the victim, but you need to see yourself as the starting point, the engine room, the one who has the solution that the world has been waiting for, and stop waiting and launch out. That pain that you're having is actually the gain that people want to have from you. That frustration that you're having is actually the key to your liberation. And this is not inspiration. This is just truth. But you have to look at it. You have to be conscious. You have to face it. And if you do not face it, then it's going to face you and deal with it. So deal with your pain, deal with your issues, and reach out to those who have gone ahead of you, because there will always be those before you and those behind you. That's the much I have to say to you.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Reach out. And that's where the work is. Reaching out, pouring yourself out, living a life of impact, raising people up, encouraging others. I remember the story of Job, when he was so overwhelmed with challenges. The Bible says that it was when Job prayed for his friends. You can imagine with the kind of burden he had,
Yeah.
A lot of us, it's in when you solve other people's problems that your problem gets solved. According to one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar, he said you can have everything in life that you want if you help enough people get what they want. So on this note,
leadership is service.
Yes, leadership is service. On this note, I want to salute you, my brother. Thank you for spending your time out of your busy schedule, jumping in tonight to add so much value. People are watching from all over the world, even the replay. If you're listening, please take notes. And for those who are on the platform, thank you for listening quietly. And I salute you. Thank you for joining Leadership with Adegoke, the 25th session with Collins, my brother. I salute you, sir. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful Sunday evening. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Thank you so